What's up, everyone? Joe Algieri back here. Another episode of the Fantasy Scene with my good friend Ross. Rossi, how's everything going, buddy?
Very good. How's your day today?
Not too bad. I got my first shot for the vaccine. One step closer. Not too bad. My wife pulled out a miracle, got me an appointment, but we're there. We're getting there. But we're gonna start off today's show a little sombrance. Just came out news. Travelman pitcher, Real Correa, passed away due to pancreatic cancer. Solid pitcher. He's been on many of my teams, as I know he has been of yours in the years past. Cincinnati, Philadelphia, Boston, not Cincinnati, excuse me. He finished his career in Cincinnati, Philadelphia, Boston, St. Louis. He pitched on the Expos. Pretty much traveled all the way around, and yet another guy who has numbers similar to Trevor Bauer and was probably better than him. But whatever. Let's move on. So Ross, I got a question for you. We've been talking about
Max Muncy.
Not Max, and there it is. Max Muncy has made it. What's up, Lou? How's everything? We are we've been doing the positions. We've been going through everything. Yeah, you always find a way to get this guy. Jeff, tell your cousin he managed to get him into the show again. We've been talking about so far. We've done catchers, we've done first baseman, we've done second baseman. This next position for me, I got a question. Is it the shortstop the deepest position in fantasy baseball right now?
I think so. For me, I have so many shortstops that can excel. Obviously, you have your studs who are your studs and are going to compete like studs, but there's a lot of guys in the middle tiers that can be just as good to be maybe get to the top tier or the brink of the top tier.
Yeah, I mean, there are guys. I feel like every team is pretty solid at the shortstop position. Give or take a few. But those are the teams that you're not expecting much from. I know off the air we kind of discussed our lists. A couple of guys I don't have on mine that you were kind of surprised by. Obviously, for everyone who's new to the show, and thank you for joining us. Every Monday, Wednesday, Friday, we'll be bringing you the fantasy scene. Ross is a tier guy. For a lot of people, they feel that it's a better way to break it down because it doesn't really attach a number to them. It's more of a blanket versus specific. I'm more of the top 10 guy. I think we could both agree who the best shortstop in baseball is. I mean, if you haven't figured it out, you've been living under a rock this offseason because he got paid. He got paid a lot. The San Diego Padres opened up their bankroll and gave this guy a 14-year deal. Now, my question to you, Ross, is you're a big what have you done, right? I have Fernando Tatis at the top of my list, right? How do you rate someone like him where he has such limited games? Like, how do you list he's got 150 games in? Like, how much credence do you put into what he's done already?
Generally, I like to see what a player can do over a full season. But obviously, sometimes you get those players that are just too good. Tatis, the way he plays, he's shown that he can hit. He's in a tremendous lineup. So you have to put Tatis in the top tier. Tatis is with Lindor and Story in my top tier. I think those three guys are interchangeable. So, yeah, Tatis could be number one, but you're not surprised that Story or Lindor are number one.
No, I mean, for me, and we're going to get into it when we speak about it a little bit. For me, I think Story has taken quite a few steps back. Lou, I mean, for the most part, Marte, maybe not. But Lindor, Tatis, these are all guys that we're going to get into, and I agree. Like these are the list keeps going. For me, Story took a little bit of a step back, losing Arenado. He's not getting protection one way or the other. He's either going to be protecting Blackmon or Blackmon's going to be protecting him. But the Arenado loss for Colorado for me is far bigger than what Arenado brings to the St. Louis lineup. but that's
Definitely.
again,
I agree
you
with
know,
you there.
we'll talk about that when we get into third baseman on the third baseman on Wednesday. Yeah, Ray, believe me, this was one of the names where I mentioned to Ross offline, and he was actually very surprised where I had him, which is Bo Bichette. So for me, like I said, I'm going to just show my list really quickly, and we're going to kind of go from there. For me, I got Fernando Tatis 1, Trey Turner 2. Sorry, Mets fans, I got Lindor 3. Bichette 4, Trevor Story 5. Like I said, Seager, Bogarts, Tim Anderson, Gleyber Torres, and then Dansby Swanson. Honestly, the last one with Swanson, it's kind of interchangeable. I know you mentioned a couple names offline, but who's in Rossi's top tier?
Well, besides Story, Lindor, and Tatis, if your league has the qualifications of 2019,
Let me guess, Max Muncy.
you have to put Bregman and Machado in there.
Okay.
If they qualify at shortstop, they are studs. If they qualify at shortstop, you have to put them in the top tier.
Sorry,
Go
Ross, go ahead. No, I was just curious. Last year, Machado, did he play any games at all at shortstop?
No.
Okay.
Neither did Bregman, but they both played in 2019.
Okay, so then, so I'm curious, and that's a great point. I'm curious how many leagues are utilizing 19 eligibility because last year was such a shortened season. I know so far that obviously our league that's going to be live in 2 weeks. We're utilizing 2020 eligibility, so a guy like Bregman and those guys won't qualify at shortstop. But I'm curious to see how many other leagues, like how the bigger ones, like the national, and those ones, if they're utilizing. So
far in all my leagues that I'm in, everyone's using 2019 stats and 2020 stats.
Okay.
Some leagues are going with abbreviated. For instance, if the league requires you to have 20 games, because there was 60 games, they're going to maybe 8 or 9. That's nonsense. I just personally don't like that. I just say whatever the number is in the leagues that I run, I said it's the same numbers used last year and 2019. But
I mean, fair enough. Yeah. But who else? Good. Keep going.
In the second tier, there's a guy you obviously love is Trey Turner. Trey Turner, Gleyber Torres, Bogarts, and Javi Baez. Those are guys in my second tier. I mean, a guy like Baez, I mean, the guy can hit 280, 30 home runs. He's falling off drafts. He's going later. That's a pretty nice steal where a player can climb, and he can be a first-tier guy.
Yeah, I mean, he's definitely someone that could be he has been a first-tier guy. Let's just call it what it is. He has been a first-tier guy. I just think a lot of people, along with myself, are really looking at it there's dismantling. Chicago's in dismay. In Chicago, there's complete dismay. That nobody knows kind of what's going on. So my thing is, I don't know. I can't put any trust in it. The same way, on the Smarsh and Scro show, when we did our predictions, we kind of gave them with caveats that if, for argument's sake, I picked the Cincinnati Reds to win the Central, okay? Because I think that they're right now currently present, they have a pretty decent team. Even though I wound up changing my pick after the Jackie Bradley Jr. signing, but in terms of there's too much unknown surrounding the Chicago Cubs. 1 week they're trying to trade everybody. 1 week now, all of a sudden, all of the same players are asking for extensions. So, a lot of uncertainty, and I think that's what kind of is dropping him. Can he perform to a higher level? 100%. For me, shortstop is way too deep for me to take someone who has question marks surrounding him. That's just the way I'm looking at it.
Even though there's uncertainty in Chicago, the lineup is still deep. They still have a good solid core in the middle, and no matter how you look at it, they're gonna hit. So what are they gonna do? They're gonna trade away all their players? That's nonsense.
I know, but it's like Ross. I mean, really look at it. Anthony Rizzo hasn't been great in the last few years, right? Chris Bryant has kind of fell off. You know, who else do you have in there? Jason Hayward, do you really trust him? Ian Happ, Bote, Contreras. These aren't exactly like world beaters, you know? Like, so for me, you know, they got rid of Schwarber. So that's like a big lefty bat in their lineup. Just for me, I just think that the Cubs are, I don't know. I feel like the pitching is going to be another big issue with them. For me, like I said, I much rather leave Javi Baez off my list. And I know that may sound crazy, but I feel like these guys that I have on my list, like I said, up until 9 on my list, I'm 100%. I would take any of those over Baez. Could I put Baez over Dansby Swanson? Yeah. But for the same reasons you like Baez, I like Swanson. Monster lineup. I think he's going to get a lot of opportunity, and I'll take the youth. You know, but I don't know. That's just me.
Listen, I have a lot of guys in my third tier that could be just as good as any other player. I mean, guys like Corey Seager, who you have, Swanson, Mondesi, Bo Bichette. I mean, I know you have Bichette up there ranked third. I just don't see him as the third best shortstop in this giant list. I mean, Semien, even Didi Gregorius is solid. Tim Anderson, 20 homer. You know,
I'll be honest with you. I forgot you said a name I forgot on my list, which is Mondesi, and I have him as like he's one of my favorites. I'll be honest with you. Like I slipped I don't know why it slipped my mind to put Mondesi on this list because especially in a roto league with steals and stuff like that, insane. You know, but I want to ask you a question, Ross, because so my job, you know, for those who don't know, I sell cars. So in the spare time, my boss is the biggest Homer Yankee fan you'll ever meet in your life. And the gentleman who runs the insurance agency is the biggest Mets fan you'll ever meet. Okay. So the conversations are absolutely priceless. Absolutely priceless. So my question to you is they have a bet going on right now. We're talking about the shortstop position. Okay. They have Lindor versus Glaber. Anyway.
Gleber.
No, Glaber. It's G-E-L-Y, Glaber.
There's no way there. It can't be Glaber.
It's okay. I'll tell his mother who named him that, you know, but so they have a bet going on. Guy, can you get out of the back of my screen, please? My weird coworker is just creeping in the background. So they have a bet going on. I told my boss he was dumb to make it because I don't believe he's going to win it. 2 out of 3 categories: home runs, average, OPS. I think Lindor sweeps him.
Maybe. I mean, in home runs, I think, you know, Lindor is a big home run guy, but I just think that Gleber can get you 30, 35 home runs. And right there, average, if I had to pick, I would pick Lindor. OPS could go either way. So, I mean, it's not a bad bet either way. I don't see anyone as a favorite. I just think it's whoever has the better season, honestly.
I just think here's my thing. I think that in typical Yankee fashion, okay, I feel as though the Yankees are built, listen, you know, they're not called the Bronx Bombers for nothing, okay? They're not the Bronx Bunters. That's just basically what it is. And that's what's kind of hindered the Yankees for years is they're all about the long ball. They don't play the small ball. Lindor, for me, he's a more all-around player. He's lefty, okay? He's a more well-rounded hitter. He's able to hit you over 300. I don't see that for Torres.
There goes your average.
Yeah, Torres.
Home runs.
No, I mean, if you really look at it, home runs, Lindor is beating them 3 out of the 4. 3 out of the 3 years that Torres has been up here, Lindor has beaten them 2 out of the 3. The only
But
year that
what
it's
I'm saying is, like I said, if you're gonna say average, you got to pick Lindor. If it's home runs, it's could be either one. It's not you can't say 100% Lindor or you can't say 100% Gleber. It could go either way, and OPS could go either way also. So the favorite Lindor, obviously.
Look
But
at you. You even got our fans calling him Gleber now. Do you see this? Look at this. Gleber out homers him. Look what
listen to me.
you've done. Look at what you've done.
Get rid of the R in his name. What say his name? Say Glebe. Say his name. Is it Glebe?
No, it's.
Can you say Glebe? No, you
Glebe.
can't say Glebe. It's Glebe. So put an R.
Oh my goodness. That's all right. We're gonna end the discussion. We definitely both failed the spelling bee. But
Glebe is at shortstop.
Yeah, listen. What was that?
I got two guys at shortstop that can be extremely good. First of all, Dijong on St. Louis. The guy can hit you 30 home runs. He did it in 2019. Jorge Polanco on Minnesota. He's another guy who can get you 20 home runs, hit 290. They're going off the board late. Those are guys, if you want to wait, you can wait for those two guys. Those two guys can be very good.
I feel like he's a guy, though, he has to he struggles with health, Polanco, and he's great. Polanco is very, very, very talented. Two guys that right. I mean, two guys that here. Listen, let's go back to two guys that I think are going to be super, super productive this year. Again, I'm going to check before I even mention his name right now. Where is it? See, the problem is that you have two guys for me that it's gonna matter up to eligibility. Okay. I'm a really, really, really big fan of David Fletcher out in LA, but I'm just not sure if he is going to qualify for shortstop because I don't know if he.
I mean, Fletcher's really never been a big numbers guy.
I think he has the potential.
I'd rather take a guy like Elvis Andrus. He's a guy that can get you 30 stolen. That's in a roto league. This guy can get you 30 stolen bases, and he's another one that's going off the board late. So, I mean, that's a guy who you can get later on in the draft for a roto league. In a points league, Andrus is not going to really do much.
Well, no, listen, Fletcher,
but towards the end of
last year he played 27 games. He's going to qualify at shortstop next year. He only played 8 games. Yeah, he only played 8 games at the third base position. But like I said, this is a guy. Again, I'm not talking about a guy you're drafting in the first 10 rounds. But if you can grab a guy like Fletcher, he's going to boost your average. Doesn't strike out a lot. He's got a good on base. Let's go with 2019. Okay, last year was an abbreviated season.
In a points league, you're putting him over your top 15 guys?
No, I'm not. That's what I'm saying. He's a guy that's probably going to be someone later in the draft.
If he's off the board, take Fletcher.
I mean, I still think it's someone, and it's the perfect example, Crazy Uso, who I'm convinced is Ross. Fletcher's probably going to be the Angels Swiss Army knife, which is exactly what it is. He's going to be like a Chris Taylor. He's going to be like, those guys that play a Whit Merrifield, those guys that play multiple positions, you know what? Hold on. I have something I have to ship. I'm saving it. Hold on. Save image. Ross, I got something for you, buddy. I'm going to add it to the page right now. Hold on.
Max Muncy.
We have official documentation. Please hold. 159. Here it is. Okay. It's coming to the page. We're going to put this to bed right now. Here it is. Gleyber Torres. Gleyber. There it is. Gleyber. Okay. That's
Where's the Y?
You just won't let it go. No, like I said, I'm not. Fletcher's going to be a late round guy, but yeah, he's there. And Uso, Crazy Uso also made another comment that I definitely agree with. My boy Dansby Swanson's going to give my Braves 15 to 25 home runs, 75 RBIs, and a 270 or so batting average. Absolutely.
I believe
100%. I believe the RBIs, I think you might be underselling him a lot because, like I said, that middle of the lineup is stacked. He's going to see players. He's going to see pitches.
He could be even better than that. Swanson's a solid player and a really good lineup.
100%. And this actually, you know what? You posted another great question. I want to get your comments on this, Ross. The key piece to the Francisco Lindor trade, okay? Jimenez starting. He's getting the start. He's getting the position, the shortstop position in Cleveland. I mean, what are your expectations for him? We really haven't seen much from him. Like, what are we expecting? I mean, I could tell you what Fantasy Pros right now is giving him projected. This is his projected numbers: 256, 9 home runs, 41 RBIs, 53 runs, 20 stolen bases. I mean, where do you put that? What tier is that for you?
Someone's given a projection. I'm not going to say they're right or wrong. All I'm saying is this: that's their job to give a projection.
100%.
How can they possibly know what this kid's going to do? Nobody possibly knows what this kid's going to do. It's a guess. So if you, me, Crazy Uso puts numbers there, anyone's numbers could be correct. Nobody really knows. So for me to say this is what I think he's going to do, it's just me throwing numbers out there. Nobody really he's going to do.
Absolutely. I wasn't expecting you to give me a number. Like I said, I was giving you kind of an area as to where they're projecting him. But where would you put him as far as, you know, is he in the bottom tier? Like, is it someone that, you know,
I take a shot on him at the end of the draft, somebody that you draft for $1, maybe $2. That's okay. In a roto.
Fair enough.
In a rounds league, if there's 26 rounds, that's somebody I'm drafting in the later rounds.
Like 22, 23.
League. If you're in a keeper league and you got keepers from 20 to 26, that's someone maybe I take a shot on in a roto league because he can get you stolen bases. Something in that fact, because he has gotten you stolen bases in the minors, so you would assume he's going to get you stolen bases in the majors. Now, again, with stolen bases, it's all about, can a guy hit? Can a guy walk? You know, you can't steal a base if you're not on it.
It's a great point. And the only thing that I will say about him that I'm afraid of in terms of drafting, and we've spoken to this in past shows. Does the New York attachment drive up his price? Right? You know that Mets fans, you know, they love this kid. They thought he was going to be the next coming. And then they got, you know, they had, what's his face? The other kid that they traded. I'm drawing a blank right now. Anyway, this kid was like the second coming. Huh? Yeah, I can't even. That's how irrelevant he was with the Mets the last few years. But my thing is that, like, does that? It's almost like, for argument's sake, like if Clint Frazier, okay, or the Martian from the Yankees minor league system was traded somewhere else and was given the starting position. Does it, him coming from a big market team per se and getting a start, do you feel that sometimes drives up their value, maybe higher than it should be?
I think it does in the market where he is. He's a Met farmhand. So guys who are Met fans, they know him. So now when his name, if the draft comes up in the 18th, 19th round, they're going to say, we're in New York. He's going to go. Somebody's going to grab him. You know what? Let that guy grab him in the 17th, 18th round. It's a wasted pick.
Right.
You got to be happy when that happens.
100%. Like you definitely want to see like certain players, especially guys that are on the lower end of the tier, getting, you know, spiking up. That means someone whose value is actually meant to be in that round is now dropping down, and that's when you have a potential for, you know, a big pick. Ross, you put another great pick question up here. Crazy Uso wants to know, do you think Albies and Swanson will switch off batting second for the Braves? I'd rather have Swanson there. I have my feelings, Ross. I mean, what are your thoughts there? I have a pretty strong opinion on this one.
Listen, it's why if the lineup is working and players are doing well, they stay in their lineup. The only time players move from position or from from the lineup and move up and down the lineup is if they're not producing. So you move them to let them settle and then come back. So I believe that if the lineup will stay the same because those guys will produce and there won't be any need to switch them in the lineup.
I just think, kind of piggybacking off of what you are, here's my thing. That team is so top heavy. You can't have Albies and Swanson in the top two. Okay. Acuna is going to be one or two. So most likely Acuna is going to be one, Albies is going to be two, Freddie Freeman 3, and so on and so forth. I think for Swanson, he's best suited in that 6-7 spot. Okay. Because that 6-7 spot, he's still going to get prime RBI possibilities. And especially if he's in the 6th spot, he'll still be able to score runs.
I don't think he's suited to be there, Joe. I think he's suited to be in the 2 spot. I do think he's suited to be in the 2 spot, but there's somebody already there. So
which is Albies.
That's the only reason he won't be there. That's the only reason I think the lineup's going to stay wherever it is, only because it's stacked. And the guys are going to produce. I don't think Albies is going to fall off. I think he's going to have a good season. I think Swanson's going to do good just where he is because he's going to be the bottom of doing well.
Absolutely. I mean, Crazy Uso right now projected lineups has Albies 2, Swanson 6. I'll just show it to you. I'll bring it up to you really quickly. We'll share the screen. So right now projected lineups from MLB.com. It has Ronald Acuna, Ozzie Albies, Freddie Freeman, Marcell Ozuna, Travis d'Arnaud, Dansby Swanson, Austin Riley, who we've spoken about, I think is another great pick, but we'll get into him on Wednesday. And then Kristen Posh from playing center field. I'll be honest with you, like I said, Atlanta's stacked. But right now, that again, projections. Could it be Swanson in spring training bats 370 and goes nuts, and they slot him up? Yeah, it's possible. But for me, I think Swanson right now to really capitalize. I think that that 5, 6, 7, any of those spots right now, I think would be really ideal for him. I think that would be the best spot. I would maybe, in that projected lineup, maybe I flip flop Travis d'Arnaud and Swanson, just to throw something.
Swanson 6 and d'Arnaud 5 is not bad because you put a little protection for d'Arnaud.
Right, absolutely. And d'Arnaud, like I said,
yeah, he could be a solid hitter. So you want to break the players up. I just think that it'll stay that way, especially if Albies is producing. And listen, if Albie falls off and Swanson's hitting for average, they may switch them. But
yeah, absolutely, I'm
right.
100%. And guys, really quickly, we love all the participation. We love all the questions and everything. Just do us a favor when you're making a comment, just please make sure you add StreamYard as an app on Facebook, because otherwise it comes up as Facebook user, and we want to be able to interact with you and make sure that, we acknowledge you directly. I don't want to say, hey, Facebook user, great comment. But yeah, no, I completely agree with this. And that stacked lineup, Swanson's going to have plenty of RBI opportunities. So, 2, 6, 3, 1, 4, doesn't matter where they are. They're going to score a ton of runs, the Braves. Let's just call it what it is. So Ross, we're gonna start to phase out the shortstops, but let's give, we've given our tiers, we've given our sleepers. Who's one guy you feel right now that's going a little bit higher than you think they should, and that you're bust, someone that you're kind of avoiding this year in the draft?
I don't really have a particular bust in the sense I'm avoiding, because I have so many shortstops on my list. There's not that guy that I'm saying I'm not taking him. I mean, generally, when you have a stacked, maybe a minimal amount of guys, and those guys are, the shortstops, I got 17 guys, 20 guys on my list. There's really no bust for me to stay away from, because they're all at the end of my draft anyway. So I don't have that particular player for you.
Okay, I mean that's fair. Again, obviously, I mentioned one of mine before. It's going to be Javi Baez. I just don't see it this year. I really think that he is going to, take a step back. Hopefully, you know what? Maybe the best thing for him is to possibly be traded to another team, and get like a little bit of a spark. The one guy for me.
To go off your list, if I'm going to say a bust off your list, a guy who's not going to be the number 3 shortstop.
Oh, you're going to say Bichette.
I don't think. I mean, but that's not really in essence a bust. I mean, you have him ranked number 3. See, ranks for me don't do anything 1 to 10 because you can have your, say, for instance, Bichette. He's ranked 3rd. Now, all your other positions are ranked 1 to 10 also, but you can have your 12th outfielder who you'd pick before Bichette at 3. That's why I don't like lists, because your number 12 outfielder, someone would say, oh, he's number 12. He can't be better than his number 3. So that's why I like tiers. You understand what I'm saying?
Understood. No, listen, absolutely understood. I get it. For me, the other guy that I'm looking at, and you're going to start to see a trend if you haven't figured it out yet. A name I don't think I heard you mention, Carlos Correa. I just think that, again, I hate the Astros. It has been well documented on the show that I absolutely despise the Astros. But I know that we said that we're not going to put a lot of credence into last year, Ross. But
he's got a lot of potential. I got him and maybe after all my top guys. I mean, depending on where he lands, if Correa is there in your 17th, 18th, 19th round, you have to take him and put him on your bench because you never know. But
no, I know, but I just
top 10 pick or a top 14, 13, 14 pick on Correa, I wouldn't do it personally. There's going to be guys that do it.
100%. For me, I know like that we spoke about it. I know you in particular, you don't put a lot of credence into last year. I get it. But I just find it really, really, really convenient that they get busted for cheating and these guys could not hit themselves out of a paper bag last year. I find it really convenient. I just don't, can I be wrong? Probably am. Usually am. So it is what it is. And if that's the case, everyone go out and draft every Houston
Astros. I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
They were caught cheating.
Right.
What were they caught cheating for? Stealing signs.
Stealing
Steal signs every single game, every single inning, Joe?
That was what they're pretty much, because
they didn't steal signs every game and every inning. They stole signs. That's it. They stole signs. They were never deemed, first of all, 80 games on the road, they didn't steal signs. Number 2, when they were home, they're stealing signs. They're not stealing every single pitch for every single.
They were only tipping the hitters off on the off-speed stuff. That's it. But that's why
that's what I'm trying to say. So it's not they were cheating, they were stealing pitches, but for me, it's a minimal amount of pitches they were stealing. So I'm
going to disagree with you there.
So you're telling me as a per player, their batting average went up 30 points because they were stealing signs?
Ross, I mean, 100%. No, I am 100%.
So you think their batting average went up 30 points because they were stealing those signs in the off-speed pitching?
I'm going to turn this around to you and I'm going to ask you a question. You're a professional baseball player, right? And you know that when you're at home, right? All you have to do is sit there and listen for the bang of the garbage can and when you know it's coming, do you know how much easier it is? Statistically, baseball is one of the most difficult sports in the world to play because of how quick you have to make a conscious decision of what's coming, to swing, not swing, and everything. When you take away the aspect of not knowing what's coming to a professional, absolutely do I believe that this immensely upgraded their averages. Listen,
I'm not saying that it didn't. I'm not saying it didn't. I'm asking you, give me a number. What's, for instance?
I would say anywhere between 15 to 20 points on their average.
Okay, so 15 to 20 points on their average. So now, take a guy like Altuve who hits 330, 320. Take away 15 to 20 points. Isn't he still a great hitter?
I mean, yeah, in baseball, a 3 out of 10. Yeah, you're 300 hitter. Yes, 100%. But I just find it funny. Like I said, I could be completely off center.
Joe. You're putting too much credence into they cheated. They cheated. I understand they cheated. I'm not saying they didn't. I understand they did better because of it. Don't put too much credence on this cheating nonsense. They did cheat. Their numbers are a little bit better, but their numbers are not drastically better just because they got caught cheating. And you don't know how many times they did it.
So my question to you is this. My question to you is this, Ross. Is we now have a full schedule coming up, right? We have a full 162 game, unless something happens and we can't get 162 games. Right now, we're pegged for 162 games. What happens now if Altuve goes through a full season again and bats 260? Will you say what? Does that change anything in your mind?
Then, if he has a bad season for the entire season, but it's not only him. Correa hits 20, 30 points, 40 points below his batting average. Altuve does. Springer doesn't do good moving away. Alvarez doesn't do good. Then I can see across the board, everyone sucked. It had to be the cheating. But now, if Altuve has a bad season, but Springer, Alvarez, Correa, Tucker, they all were the same or better. How can you say it was cheating?
I mean,
don't
Ross,
don't they all have to drop off?
They all did. They all did, and I'll show you. So what? So
season. Last year's a shortened season.
I get it.
To answer your question, it would have to be a full season, and yes, it would have to be more than one player drop off.
Right. Just to answer the Facebook user, I'm not sure who asked the question. 2019, Altuve batted 298. 2020, he batted 219, but he saw a significant drop off in all of his numbers. I'm talking about, yes, it's a shortened season, Ross. You know, he had a little less than half of the at-bats, okay? But, no, I'm sorry. A little bit less. He had 500 at-bats in 2019. He had 192 in 2020. But, I mean,
60 games. It's 2/5 of a season.
I get that, but it's just
a player goes into a slump. Like I said, Joe, if a player goes into a slump on a shortened season, he doesn't have the time to make his numbers increase. Now,
Ross, I get it, but
there's a big difference.
219 is not a slump, Ross. 219. If you watched the games last year, Jose Altuve looked absolutely lost at the plate. Lost. He looked like he was playing baseball for the first time. So it really makes you believe. You really have to start to question how much of an effect did the garbage cans, did the sign stealing? Listen, there's a reason half the coaches don't coach it.
Let's go to the other point that I made. Did anyone? What did Springer do? That was
all right. So we'll go Springer.
What did Springer do?
We're gonna go Springer. George Springer. George Springer in 2019 batted 292. Okay. 2020 he batted 265. So he almost dropped 30 points in average. But in reality, he almost dropped 30 points in average. But in reality,
2020, what did he bat?
265.
In 2019,
292.
how many home runs?
39 to 14.
14 home runs is 28, 35. 35 to 39 full season. So his numbers were off, but also it's across the board. Now, tell me what Correa did.
All right, let's go to Correa. Carlos Correa in 2019 batted 279. 2020 264.
Now, why wasn't he worse? Give me
He
Tucker.
was.
Give
He
me
was
Tucker.
worse.
No, he wasn't.
279 to 264.
Okay, now there's a 80-point difference in Altuve, 30-point difference in Springer, 15-point difference in Correa.
Now let me give you Bregman. Bregman, 2019, 296. 2020, 242. How is it the whole team dropped in average, Ross? Whole team.
Because once you have a guy that's doing bad, the next guy's doing bad, the next guy, it's contagious. Just like hitting good is contagious, hitting bad is contagious. They have that stigma on their head that they cheated. You didn't do good because you cheated. Now they have to say to themselves, was it because I cheated that I did good, or do I really suck? Or am I not capable of hitting? It gets to you. And what I'm saying to you is this. Let the other guys like you not draft them. When these guys fall, take them. They're gonna have a good season. They're gonna come back and do well. These guys are professional hitters. They're gonna.
I think they're professional cheaters. I think that's what they are. I think they're professional cheaters. And I think that this is, the mighty have fallen. I mean, it's really sad. Let me tell you something. What the more pressing stat for me of all of it, the sad part is the fact that these guys had such a bad season, right? But the other three knuckleheads in that division of the Angels, the Athletics, and the woeful Mariners, okay? Let them get into the playoffs. It's so bad.
We're not going to have any to talk about Friday when we talk about that division. But all I'm saying is this: my opinion. I'm not a fantasy god.
Right.
I am up there, but I'm not a fantasy god.
Oh, here we go.
But my opinion is these guys are going to go down they're going to be drafted later in these drafts. They're going to be going
as they should be.
I personally am going to have a lot of guys from Houston on my team because I'm taking them. I'm going to bid to where their 2019 numbers. Now, I'm not going to have to pay that. So I'm taking a shot that these guys are going to do well. That's going to be me. Now,
I'm going to that means
you know what? At the end of the season, we'll see.
Give me an entry in all the leagues that you're in, because if that's the case, I'm throwing out Astro players the first 7 rounds. But you're Billy. It all
depends on the number.
I get it. And Billy just commented.
Especially like Bregman, who's a shortstop.
Oh, please. He's a shortstop in one league.
If I can get him for 35, 40, he's on my team.
Yeah, whatever. Billy, I completely agree with the comment. The Astros will be clouded with that, and rightfully so. I really think that, listen, it's a mental game. We've spoken about it. I'll use Yankees for argument's sake. Gary Sanchez. He came up with this world of fire. His defense started to stink. Once as a professional athlete, like you said, once it kind of like sits in your head, like, shit, what's going on? Like, is it me? Like, did I forget how to play baseball? Like, the mental aspect of the game is huge, especially in baseball. Listen, there's a reason so many people dislike baseball. It's a very cerebral sport. It's sport. Like, people don't understand if you're a true fan of baseball, there is literally something going on every play. It may not look like it, but there's a manager moving an outfielder. There's a manager signaling, there's something going on. It's such a cerebral sport. And that's what I think turns off a lot of people from it, because the pace is a little bit slower than most sports. But for me, that's what I love about it, because there is it's like Risk, the old board game Risk. There is so much strategy going on in baseball that it makes it the best sport. There's a reason it's the national pastime. I love it, and everything. But let's move on.
What you said, Joe, it's a mental game. So 100%. Now, if there's a group that were called cheaters and they have to prove that they didn't cheat, so what do? They press. They go against what they learned. I just think last year, all of every place every game you can't hit because you're cheating. Look what happened. It gets to your head. I think that's gonna get out. They got it out of their system, and I just believe that those hitters who know how to hit are gonna start hitting.
I get it, but let's move on. We're going to stay in the AL, but we are going to continue our breakdowns of each division. We're going to go through each team, kind of give you guys someone to go after, someone to stay far away, and just give a little breakdown of the teams. We're going to go into the AL Central. Ross, we kind of both have, for the most part. I'm sure that there'll be a few comments about your second place team, but we both start off with the same team. Vegas picked them as well. The Chicago White Sox, on paper, look to be the best team in this division. On paper, look to be one of the best teams in baseball right now.
Yes.
So Ross, who is somebody on the Chicago White Sox that you're kind of you're targeting?
Well, listen, they're stacked with hitters and they're stacked with pitchers. So, am I targeting anyone specifically? Do I love anyone? I mean, listen, they're a guy. They're just on my list, on my tiers. If those guys fall to me in my bidding and in my drafting, as the tiers progress, those are my guys. Special guys. No, I don't have anyone special. Guys that I may go, I like Keuchel. I think Keuchel being the number 3 pitcher on that team and seeing the number 3 pitchers on a lot of other teams will excel and get a lot more wins. I think Hendricks, if I'm going to grab someone that I like, I think Hendricks is going to get a lot of saves on that team.
See, I that's where me and you disagree. I think Hendricks has been okay. Listen, Hendricks did very well in Oakland. One of our other hosts made a comment, and it actually got me to looking into more of the stats on Hendricks. And something he said really jumped out. Hendricks does not come up big in the big spots. Anybody could close out the Pittsburgh Pirates. Anybody could close out, the Seattle Mariners. Anyone can close out the Kansas City Royals, and those are them. But it's what happens when you're playing the Minnesota Twins 16 times. Can you handle that pressure? I'm not sure. Hendricks is someone. I'll be honest with you. If I'm targeting someone to get saves, I actually like Bummer. I think Bummer is someone who had a really, really solid season last year. Right now, he's in the setup role. I think he's a good guy to hold on to for if your league does holds. WHIP, ERA, and then he might be a candidate for late steals, saves.
Did you look at Hendricks' ERA?
100%. Yes, I have.
You don't have to look it up. He's got a 1.8, 1.7 or something like that for the last 2 seasons. He's under 2 for the past 2 seasons. So you're telling me that he's got a sub-2 ERA and he can't pitch to Minnesota? He can't pitch? Come on.
Ross, but here's my thing, Ross, okay? You just made a point.
I'm just saying I have a sub-2 ERA for the past 2 seasons.
But hold on. But here's what I'm going to tell you. You just made a point to me that the guy had a sub-2 ERA for the last 2 seasons, right? But his career ERA is over 4. So what does that tell you, Ross?
That tells you that he learned how to pitch and what he did.
He learned how to pitch in year 9 and 10. If you learned how to pitch in year 9 and 10, you should fire everybody that's ever helped you across your career.
No,
Come on,
no.
Ross.
People develop at different points in their careers. The guy put 2 solid seasons in a row.
So let me get this straight. So now you're taking 2020 and you're giving credence to 2020 because he had a sub 2 ERA.
I'm only giving credence to 2020 because he did it in 2019. What I'm saying to you about the 2020 numbers is if the guy hit 32 home runs in 2019 and hit 3 in 2020, don't take credence to 2020. But if a guy hit 40 home runs in 2019, then hit 14 home runs in 2020, yes, you take credence to it because that's showing consistency. What I'm saying, that's what I'm talking about. He did
fair enough.
ERA in 19 and continued it in the short span. So there's the consistency. Do you understand what I'm saying to you?
I get you. Fair enough. I mean, listen, it's give me 1 second. Sorry about that. I get it, but let's move on. Yeah, by the way, my guy for the White Sox, big fan of him, Luis Robert. I think he takes the next step up. I think he's definitely a someone you're going to watch. He's got to tweak his swing a little bit, but he'll move on. All right, Ross, we differ here. Let's go to your number 2 team. You have the Kansas City Royals too. Who's someone on that team that you're looking for?
Well, they have a stacked lineup. I mean, I like their lineup, but a sleeper guy that I think can do much better that he's done in the past years is Benintendi. Benintendi has, to me, he's got the potential to be a bottom second, top 3rd tier guy. Right now, he's bottom tier. Nobody's really expecting Benintendi, but he's in a really good lineup. I think the change of scenery will do him good. I have him listed as one of my nice sleepers.
All right, fair enough. I mean, for them, I'm looking at their lineup. You have some standard. You have some guys there. Mondesi is kind of my guy with that lineup. He's a top rated shortstop. I know we just went through them, but for me, Mondesi is the guy. I'm actually mad at myself that I forgot to put him on the list. I forgot. No, I know. Well, I mean, I'm going based off of my list. I didn't have him on my list, so he can be a sleeper technically. For me,
you didn't have him on your list.
I forgot to put him on my list like a dummy. But whatever.
But listen, in a lineup that has Sal Perez, Carlos Santana, Mondesi, Soler, I mean Dozier, Merrifield. That's a solid lineup all the way through.
Absolutely. I mean, we're talking, and you want to talk about another solid lineup. Let's go to the other team in that division. Basically, if you want to throw Kansas City into the mix, it's basically a 3-team race. No one is expecting anything from Cleveland, and no one is expecting for anything from Detroit. So we're not going to spend too much time on them. There's really not much, a couple players, but whatever. Minnesota, another stacked lineup. I think that this lineup is going to have to hit because I don't think they have the pitching at all. And I don't think they have a great bullpen either. That's whatever. Someone
the guy
for me,
I love on that team is Nelson Cruz. He's a
but he's a stud. He's always going to be that guy. For me, the guy that I'm hoping to take, he's progressed. I'm hoping the next step he takes is going to be Byron Buxton. That guy, listen, he's another one that he can't steal first base, but when he does get on the base paths, well, we have a little breaking news. Breaking news here on the fantasy scene. I know it's not baseball related, but the Cowboys and Dak Prescott have agreed to a deal. Dallas gets Dak locked up. About time. I was hoping they actually let him walk because I wanted to.
He's an excellent quarterback for that team.
100%. 100%. He's got a ton of weapons, but that's going to be. We'll start talking about football in August.
But remember, Joey, Minnesota. I mean, Sano and Donaldson. I believe that they're beasts. I believe that if they play a full season, they can be tops at their position. But
Sano's another guy with home run only. He doesn't hit for average. Sano's another guy that is going to.
They both have 40 homer capability. When someone 100%. Has 40 home run capability, they're beasts. The only thing that I stay away from them is the only reason I stay away from them is they're both injury prone. When you get
100%.
guys that are injury prone, you can't pay regular price for them. You have to get them discounted. They have to come to you cheap. If they
Yep.
come to you cheap, then they're worth it. If you got to pay a high price, a high draft pick, if you got to pay $30, $35 to get Sanoa Donaldson, that could be
not worth
$35
it.
wasted. So for me personally, those are guys I would stay away from unless, of course, you get them later on in the draft or cheaper.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, let's move on to we're gonna wrap it up as the Smarsh and Scroll show is gonna be starting in just about 5 minutes, guys. Let's go into Cleveland. Ross, is there anyone really Cleveland? I mean, that they had a nice signing of Eddie Rosario, Jose Ramirez. Obviously, you know what you're gonna get for him. But from what I'm understanding, that him and Franmil Reyes are both in trouble. They're waiting for their penalty to be handed down, something like that. I mean, not much expectations from Cleveland. Do we have any like?
I have two guys that you can take really late. First of all, a late round guy, Oscar Mercado. I think he could be pretty solid. Better than that guy, a mid round guy, where I think he could be a mid round guy is Luplow. The guy in 2019 had 15 home runs and 85 games, hit 276. I mean, if you prorated that guy, that could be a 25 homer guy. It's a possibility. The lineup is not that bad. And if he does produce for you, that could be someone that you got later on in the draft for $1, $2, $3.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
The 17th, 18th round that could produce nice for you.
Listen, Luplow not many people did fantasy last year. If they did, whatever. But Luplow was a nice little addition. They were able to get some good production out of him. I mean, Detroit. Honestly, the only thing I'm looking forward to Detroit is I'm hoping that Miguel Cabrera gets 150 hits. I think he needs 150 hits to get to 3,000. And he needs another couple to hit another milestone for home runs. I'm just hoping the guy has been a career. Hall of Fame career. He's another guy that's probably
the names on their lineup does nothing for me. Just to before we wrap it up, Ronaldo Lopez, he could be a little bit of a sleeper there. He's got 30 homer capability.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely a possibility. I mean, but as far as Detroit, and we're going to run into the same thing when we get to Pittsburgh. Not much there. But speaking of Pittsburgh, Wednesday, we move into third base, and it actually works out, Ross. It finally worked out for us. We're going to go into third base, and now we're going to talk about the NL Central and the big move, like we mentioned earlier in the show, the big move, Nolan Arenado moving to the – and I'm going to say that most people are not going to be people are going to be surprised by our thoughts, or at least my thoughts, on what I feel about Arenado. But yeah, we're going to discuss that.
Monday, we talk about Muncy.
Oh yeah, it's Muncy Mondays. But yeah, guys, stay tuned for the Smarsh and Scro show coming up in just a few minutes. They are going to break down, I believe, the AL West, as well as go into NBA All-Star Game, a bunch of that. Tomorrow we have Dump and Chase at 8:00, followed by The Bottom Line with Billy Punch. He's a new time frame. I believe it's 9:30. I'll confirm. Just please check all our social media to get that. Wednesday we will be back, Ross, as well as Friday. And also for everyone looking, yes, Fired Up merchandise will be ready to go probably this week. But for myself, my good friend Ross, everyone here at the Fantasy Scene, Ross, have a good night. We will see you Wednesday.
Good night, Joe. Good night, everyone.
Have a good one.
Bye-bye, guys.